Today, let's talk about Firebase Anonymous Login. No, not that kind. We are not trying to break into anyone's system. In fact, we want to better protect your privacy. With Anonymous Login, you can access server resources legally without revealing your personal information. So, how does it work? The usual login process involves sending your personal information to the server, and then the server returns a token. The next time you access the server with this token, they know who you are. Anonymous login follows the same process, except that you do not provide any personal information and receive a token directly. Based on the token, the server can distinguish different users, but it cannot get more information about them. Simply put, Anonymous Login creates a guest account. Sounds good, but what's the use? First, it can be used to protect privacy. For example, we can implement anonymous chat app, where people can talk freely without worrying about being watched, as no one knows who you are. I'm particularly interested in this concept because building chat apps is the focus of our channel. Second, it can enhance user experience. Imagine visiting an online store for the first time. If you're immediately blocked by the registration page, you might not want to continue. A better way is to log in anonymously, browse the store, and only fill in the necessary information when paying. Isn't it useful? Now let's try using the Firebase service to implement anonymous login. To enable the service, go to Firebase Console, click on the Authentication card, press the Get Started button, select Anonymous, click Enable, and then Save. Now open the Users tab. If we log in successfully, a record will appear here. Open the code in your text editor. I assume you have already initialized Firebase in your Flutter app. If not, see my previous video. Here we only display Hello World in the center of the home page. Run the app once to make sure everything's working properly. Okay, now I want to replace Hello World with a login button. This can be done with the Filled Button widget, in which we display the text Sign In. It also requires an onPressed callback. For now, let's set it to an empty function. Note that the scaffold is no longer a const value. To use Firebase Authentication in our code, we need the FirebaseAuth plugin. Open the terminal and run Flutter pub add FirebaseAuth to install the plugin. Close the app and run it again. At this point, you can import the library file. FirebaseAuth provides a method named signInAnonymously, and this is all we need to implement anonymous login. It essentially creates a guest account on the server. Okay, let's try clicking the Sign In button. Go to the Firebase Console, refresh the page, and we see there is a user record. It has an ID, LBHGBB, but since it's anonymous, there isn't much other information. To access the user record in our app, we use the current user property of the FirebaseAuth instance. Let's try to display the user's ID in the terminal. Since login is an asynchronous operation, we add the async wait keyword to wait for it to complete. Save the project and click the Sign In button again. Check the terminal. We have successfully obtained the user's ID, which matches the record on the Firebase console. Even though we are logged in, the interface hasn't changed. I'd like it to display an avatar after login. For simplicity, we can use the images provided by the Pravtar website. The URL format for random images is like this, and we can specify the size we want. However, to show different content based on login status involves state management. So we first need to convert the stateless widget to a stateful widget. Let's define a current user variable to store the state. It's equal to FirebaseAuth.instance.currentUser. When not logged in, the value is null. When logged in, it's an instance of type user. For clarity, extract the filled button widget and put it in a new function named buildSignInButton. It returns a widget. Paste the code. We no longer need to print the ID in the terminal, but after login, we need to use setState to update the value of current user. This way, Flutter knows that the state has changed and will automatically update the widget. Okay, now we're ready to display the avatar. Let's create a build user profile function. Since it's a network image, we use the image.network constructor. The size is set to 150 pixels. Now, based on whether current user is null, we can selectively display different content. Save the code. Looks good. In fact, we can uniquely determine an image based on the ID of current user. As long as you don't log out and switch users, the image will remain the same. The current image is the one corresponding to the ID. Speaking of logging out, it's just as easy to implement as logging in. But before we add a signOut button, let's wrap the image widget with a column widget. Then copy the sign in button, change it to signOut, and replace signInAnonymously with signOut. Yes, logging out is as simple as calling the signOut function. It will delete the token we got from the server and also set the current user property to null. Let's take a look. Oh, the widgets in the column needs to be vertically centered. This can be fixed with the main axis alignment option. Also, we can use sized box to add some space between the widgets. Much better. Click the Sign Out button. It works. Click Sign In again. No problem. The appearance of the image seems a bit too sudden. Apart from that, everything is fine. We have successfully implemented anonymous login and logout with Firebase. The process is straightforward. Basically, just calling sign in anonymously and sign out from the FirebaseAuth instance, and then using the current user property to determine the login status. However, in this example, using StatefulWidget to manage state is not the only way, or even the best way. In the next video, I'd like to discuss other options, and maybe add a fade-in effect to the image. See you next time.